Hello everybody, welcome to Tpull's Corner. We've got a little prototype deck here today. When's the last time you saw a Flowstone Kavu? Let's go ahead and bring out the Flesh Gorger now. I don't think you're going to pay the ward price of 3 life just to tap it, do you? They do. They paid 3 just to tap my creature? It didn't even get a stun counter. This is weird. Let's see. What do we want to do here? I think we just want to put out another threat and see what else is coming our way. Not yet. We're not ready for the War Leech. That kind of works for us. And I like that they tapped out. Okay, I kind of want to egg them on a little. So both of those are good. So I can bounce something if I need to. And the constant 3 life gain per turn is kind of helping me able to sustain this without doing any removal spells. We tapped out again. Okay, now they could block the Flesh Gorger, so let's go ahead and get rid of their fire. And we'll just hit them with the fire. This is the idea behind the deck. The deck is called Hideaway Prototypes. With the Hideaway ability, you can look at the top 5 cards of your library and you get to choose one that gets exiled underneath Cemetery Tampering. Let's see. Do we want to put that on top? Okay. I guess. Yeah. How do I say that I'm done? Oh, second from the top or on the bottom. Okay. There we go. I haven't had people use that card on me yet. Second from the top. Interesting distinction. Okay. We'll just go in and hit. They really can't afford to keep attacking me. Let's go ahead and throw you up now. I'm not sure if they understood what was going to happen there. It could be their finger slipped on the mouse. It could be the first time encountering that particular ward cost if they're a newer player. Alright, let's show you the full deck. My name is Travis, for anybody who hasn't come to this channel before. If you are new, go ahead and like and subscribe. It is a brand new year. Okay, so Hideaway prototypes. As I was saying, I've got 3 copies of Cemetery Tampering. At the beginning of your upkeep, you mill 3 cards. As soon as you get 20 or more cards in your graveyard, you can play the exiled card. I've got 14 prototype cards here, and that's what we're aiming to hit with the tampering. So those are good odds in a 60-card deck. I do have 63 cards because I put in 2 extra lands and a Celestis for fixing my mana. So the average converted mana cost is 4.8, which is kind of expensive, but it's misleading because we're not planning on paying the full cost for these 6 through 9 casting costs. We're going to pay the lower prototype cost each time. So 2, 3, and 4 is all we're going to need to pay for that. So this is all like cut in half, basically. So our average mana value is probably closer to 3.0. To help us out, also I should mention the other creatures that we have 4 copies of Monstrous Warleech. They have power and toughness equal to the higher mana value among cards in your graveyard. So if we get even a single one of these prototypes in the graveyard, the Warleech is going to copy the power and toughness of the upper right mana cost, the full value. So we'll have a 6/6, a 7/7, an 8/8, or a 9/9 for the Warleech. If we don't have a prototype, or say we just have like an instant that's only 4 in the graveyard, and that's not enough for us. If you have 1 extra blue mana, you can kick the summoning cost for the Warleech, and you'll mill 4 cards. So you can go and try and hit one of those prototypes as well. If the tampering can't hit a prototype, it's okay to hit a Warleech, and at worst case hit a Might Stone and Weak Stone. So we do have lots of targets. To help us out with this overall strategy, I've got a lot of the kicker cards from Dominaria United, so the blue and black kicker. Rona's Vortex, blue with a black kicker. Return a target you don't control to its owner's hand, or you can put it on the bottom if you kick it. So if it's just a token, we'll use 1 blue mana and get rid of it completely. That's an easy removal. Or if they've got a real pesky, persistent creature that we don't like, we'll throw it on the bottom of their library as soon as we can afford to pay the kicker cost. We've got 3 copies of the Tampering. We've got 4 board wipes, Path of Peril. And I've got 4 copies of Rafine's Tower to splash the white and a Celestis, so we can pay the cleave cost and destroy every creature on the board if we need to. This also helps us with getting our lands out, right? Realm Breaker, Invasion Tree. 2 to mill an opponent 3 cards. We get a land card of our choice from their graveyard onto the battlefield tapped under our control. So there are cases where I've been land starved and Arena is only giving me 2 lands, and I'll get down a Realm Breaker because I'll do something like I'll get a 3rd Takenuma or 2nd Takenuma. I'll tap the first one, bring the second one down, and then use the second one to get my 3 mana. I use that to get the Realm Breaker down. Then I tap for 2 and I mill the opponent. Now, on the last time I did this, I milled my opponent twice and milled 3 cards without lands. So Arena, even though, I was getting land starved myself, and even milling my opponent to get lands, I was not having success for a couple of turns. Eventually it worked, but it was really ridiculous how long I went without getting a land, even with its extra help, and with all of my maneuverings. The 1 Celestis, which also gives us white to power up the cleave cost for Path of Peril if needed. For removal, we've got 1 Bleed Dry that exiles a creature. We've got the End, which can take care of 4 if they have 4 copies of a creature or planeswalker, because you can go into their graveyard, their hand, in the library, and whatever you're exiling from the battlefield, you can get any extra copies they have in all of those zones. Now, if you take it from their hand, they get to draw a card for each card you exiled from their hand. That's the way most of the cards of this type work. There's only like one card in the current meta that doesn't work that way. But most of the cards, if you can exile something from their graveyard in this way, then they get to draw a replacement. One overwhelming response to exile a creature or planeswalker. It gets cheaper as the game goes on because it costs one less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard. And we're going to be self-milling with the cemetery tampering, so we're going to have plenty of creatures in our graveyard, right? And since we are going to have so many creatures in our graveyard, I've got one Vat Emergence to bring any one select card that we want back onto the battlefield and proliferate. I'm not sure that proliferate is going to matter that much in this particular environment. And then one Might Stone and Weak Stone, which I'm usually using to do -5/-5 to a creature, which I count as a removal spell. So if you count those four, the 4 board wipes, and maybe 4 Rona's Vortex, I'm up to a dozen removal spells. And that's about as low as you can go in the current environment. There's a lot of 5-turn kill decks out there right now. I think that's it. We can cover the lands real quick. I've got one each of the black and blue Ixalan Caves that you can use to discover if you sacrifice a land. A couple of Ottawars to bounce stuff. Surgical Bay in order to sacrifice and draw a card. And Dross Pits for the black card. One copy of that. I've got 2 copies of Restless Reef now. We can turn into a blue and black shark creature with Death Touch. When it attacks, target player mills 4 cards. I have milled out my opponent a couple of times in the playtesting with this. It's not the primary goal, but it is a backup plan. You know, between the 2 copies of Realm Breaker and the 2 Restless Reefs, it can happen. And then, of course, we got the 2 Field of Runes to take care of whatever specialty lands they have that we don't want them to use. I tried to do this with a different, like an Urborg Kicker instant that does -2/-2 to start with on a creature, and it worked in some cases, but I got matched up, like 3 out of my 6 playtest matches were suddenly against incubation decks, and they were just really good about incubating every single turn. And so I had to switch out the instance for the board wipes. And it's gone a little better, but I do keep encountering a lot of 5-turn kill decks. That was yesterday. I've tweaked this, I think, to the point that it should work at least half the time. So we'll see how we do today. It used to be when you create a new deck, Arena would let you win 2 or 3 matches. Instead, I created this yesterday, and it waited more than 30 seconds to find me a match, and I immediately lost. I lost like 70-80% of my games yesterday. It was atrociously horrible. Yeah, we don't have the right color to bring down the Phyrexian Flesh Gorger yet, so we do the Celestis instead. And they're getting a threat down every single turn, which is not the greatest for us, but let's go ahead and see if this flies. I don't think I can wait on the land. I'm going to need more land. They might want to destroy the Flesh Gorger now. It only costs them 3 life points, so it's kind of worth it to them, right? Okay, so they destroy their own creature, which also causes me pain. So let's go ahead... Oh, hang on. Did they pay the cost yet? Let's make them pay the cost. Does this have to be... Oh, it's a creature I don't own. Alright, you know what? Let's go ahead and save myself a little bit of pain. We'll throw the Dragon Engine back up. They can't bring that down this turn. try this. Let's go ahead and kick it. We're going to go ahead and mill some stuff. See if we can get higher than a 7/7. Another Flesh Gorger in there. A couple lands. A way to get everything out of the graveyard. That wasn't the best mill. It didn't increase my score any for the War Leech. This is kind of good for us. We'll just throw the Dragon Engine back at the bottom of their deck this time. And that way we hold our removal for something even deadlier. They can't stop that. I should probably attack here, but I'm kind of low health. Once I get under half, and I haven't touched them yet, I get really defensive. They could do a burn down the house and throw some mini creatures at me. Get me near to death real quick. I don't think we want to draw and discard. I do like the idea of a Realm Breaker. This gives me more land. And if we get more land, we can actually full cost the Hulking Metamorph soon. Plus, if they have an Abrade, it's good to tease that out now. They aren't willing to use it on the Celestus, but maybe they would be willing to destroy the Realm Breaker. Okay. Cuts back on their card draw a little bit as well. That seems like the type of thing that we could use removal on. What are you doing? They've got a 1-mana trick here. We'll go ahead and take the bait. They might have the thing that makes it indestructible in Hexproof, or indestructible with Death Touch. That's only costs 1 mana, right? No, so they don't kill my War Leech, but they get to come back. Oh, they did it to pump up their Sengir? That seems short-sighted to me. Okay, so we're just gonna get rid of you. And now we can attack. And let's go get some more land. Yeah, that's good. Why are they not bringing out the Infiltrator? Maybe they have something else. But we can full cast this right now and do a lot of scrying. And I like all these things. I probably don't need that much of my own land at this point. But I will take one more for next turn. They could have a little trick that would kill me if I attack. So I'm just keeping these to block. If they have a trick that lets this survive but kills one of mine, I'd rather it happen when I'm defending. Okay, no. So they do... That is an instant. -6/-6, because the War Leech is too powerful for that to work even when you sacrifice. But they did get to put one of the top 3 cards they wanted into their hand. That's fine. We will full cast this now. We don't want to copy either the Realm Breaker or the Celestus. Those are legendary artifacts. You don't want to copy that with your Metamorph, or you'll make a choice on which one you want to get rid of. I'm just sort of playing with my food at this point. I feel really confident, really comfortable. But they probably think the 1/1 Death Touch is what's stopping me from moving in. It is not. As a matter of fact, if I block with this one, this will become a 9/9. And that works for me. How many do I have? I have 10. Okay, so let's use Cemetery Tampering. This is the point of the deck, so this is kind of why I'm playing with my food, because I want to do this. Goring Warplow. And it's not quite as important now because we could actually pay to... We could pay the full cost, but I want to show you something that the Hideaway cards do to the prototype cards that I think is kind of interesting. We'll just pass the turn. When you have the Goring Warplow, you see the prototype is gone. On all these other cards that have prototype, the prototype is listed, but when you've got it coming out here under the Hideaway Exile, Hideaway is going to say you can play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. For some reason, with the rules the way they are, in order to make the Hideaway paying this, casting the card without paying the cost, it actually hides the prototype cost of the card. So just in case you've never done a prototype card hidden under a Hideaway card, it's just really interesting. On the regular here, you can't even show the printed card, which is the option you can do for anything else, right? Well, we used to. Where's the ability for me to? It doesn't let me show the printed card value anywhere. He's doing damage to me. Okay, let's just exile the Forge Boss. Let's see. That's you only had one Forge Boss in your entire library? How dare you? That's not good. And they have an Urbrass Forge. Uh-oh. I'm going to have to wrap this up soon. Okay, so we mill 3 cards. We're not up to 20. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll take something that doesn't deal damage to me. We'll attack for the 9. Take the action. We'll just get rid of that because we want to bounce their Forge. Okay, we'll take action, draw and discard. Take more action. And now we can cast this for free! The full value! Ta-da! It comes out as a 5/4. We didn't have to do anything. Oh, we can throw another one on the grill too. And let's go hit the next prototype. In the meantime, we've only got 19 cards left. Maybe we could just mill them out as well. I think they just quit. Yeah, they did. They didn't see a way out of that. That's how it works. But part of the reason I wanted to do this is, if you're new, I have an entire playlist on prototype decks. We've used a dozen different ways to sort of cheat out the prototypes for the full cost without paying their full cost. So we'll cast a prototype for cheap, we'll get it back later, or we'll figure out a way to cast it without paying for its full value cost, that kind of thing. So if you like prototype cards, and you like the idea of getting to get things out at a discount, just search out the prototype playlist. This will be added to it So it'll be part of the playlist, so it'll make it easy for you to find. But I found it interesting that I think it's part of the templating of the rules in order for it to work in a digital environment. The way the summoning cost works, they have to digitally erase the prototype value in order for Hideaway to give us the greater full value mana cost. Which it does not do that for Fateful Handoff, something that I disagree with. And it seems like it should just be a templating change, right? If they can do this for Hideaway, why can't they do that for Fateful Handoff? That's my own personal pet peeve. We won't get into that. There's an entire video from a couple weeks ago with called Prototype Handoff, where I learned that Fateful Handoff does not work to draw 6 cards with Goring Warplow. You could only draw 2 if you cast it with a prototype, because it reads the prototype casting cost. Wizards made a unique ruling specifically for the Fateful Handoff cards as regard how it handles prototypes for that. I do not approve. I do not agree. I do not like it. But that's the ruling. Someday I'm going to find a designer or somebody or a developer or rules judge, and I'm going to sit down with them and ask them to walk me through their reasoning and see if they have any kind of logic that can persuade me to change my opinion. But they ruined my fun on my deck. Is this oversized deck here? 100 cards. Are we not playing today? We take this break for station identification here at Tpull's Corner. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't before. Travis will be here all year. I'm probably going to do 4 or 5 videos a week, maybe as little as 3. I was staying up past midnight doing these last year to try and make sure I got like 5 out a week. And it was not good for my rest and relaxation. I was starting, the longer I did that through the year, the more and more I got tired. So I'm going to do what I can, but I'm not going to kill myself this year to do it. So if there's a Wednesday or a Thursday where there's no content, just know. That's why I ask you to subscribe, because that way you'll get a notice when there's something new out. And it looks like... I'll be right back then. I'm going to turn off the heater in my house, because I'm starting to bake. Okay, I'm back. Oh, we won. Well, that's what happens when you recognize my username. Some people are just too intimidated. They're frozen in fear. They can't make a single click. I kid. Arena is apologizing to me for yesterday's playtesting. The deck did not do this well yesterday. It's matching me up to reinforce the 50% win-loss ratio. It's got to let me win 3 or 4 in a row today just to get me back to even. Uh-oh. I've made an expendable lackey deck before. It can be quite overpowering. Which kind of means... Oh no, and you're going to take my cards? You're going to beat me with my deck? This is already not looking good. I love Siphon Insight when I get to use it. I dread the good cards they take from me when they take from me. It's the fish that can be blocked. The lackey itself can be blocked. Do we bother to block the lackey? Suddenly, not so interested. Why do I have all 4 Spotter Thopters? What in the world is going on? That's usually a sign that Arena's ready to make you lose when they start playing poker. 4 of a kind, eh? Okay, since this is a ninjutsu deck, I kind of have to block or they're going to... Hey, let me click right. Or they're going to bring something worse down against me. They have enough energy, they could do another Siphon Insight, and they do. I'm assuming that they're not going to take land. I'm assuming they're going to take good cards. So let's go ahead and bring out the first of the Thopters. And I've got one creature in the graveyard already, so those are both okay cards. I don't absolutely need more land for the next few turns. I can actually cast everything in my hand, so... That's fine for one turn. Let's do this again. Yeah, we'll take the land first. Pass the turn. They can descry 2 and draw 2 cards. And this will give them even more card draw. Ooh, it's a mirror match because I start using Hideaway cards. Now they're going to have me go up against Hideaway cards. Let's go ahead and mess them up. They found a card they like, right? Let's just get rid of it. So we exiled one and made him waste, hopefully a good spell. They're just going to go do it again, which makes them repeat a turn. I think that's okay. I think that was okay to do. Because now, which one do we do this with? I think we do it this way. And let's go ahead. They're over 20. Let's see. They might have removal and be able to attack a ninjutsu. So we're kind of risking things here. Especially when they have that much energy. But they've got card draw now. I need to risk doing something. Okay, that'll let me scry again at least. Are you going to bring something else back in place of the Furmaster? Most likely. We still got that lackey in the graveyard. Okay, so they can discard a creature and destroy my existing Thopter. And they do. And have enough to bring that out again. Oh, gross. Okay, well... Things are decidedly against us now. And I feel like I need all the land I can get because I need to start casting 2 spells a turn. Just to catch up. Give them another flyer. And we see what else they know. They don't have anything else to do there. Does that give it a stun counter too? Ouch. Okay, a board wipe would have come in nicely actually. Throw away another extra creature they don't care about. There it is. They can pump that puppy up. I guess I wait? I guess I wait and don't do anything. We'll see. I have to do this before they attack, though. They could ruin everything. I'm hoping that they just start pumping it up now. Okay, so we will exile that now. So they have to copy something else. I don't need 2 different things that they can copy. Silver Fur Master. Okay. And they create a fish. And we throw that back up. And I think I'm dead. Because I decided to take the land. But it's all tap land. And I guess I should have just thrown both of the lands away to try and get something better. Like this, I'm just not going to survive, so it just doesn't matter anymore. They've already got way too much on the field. And they are presenting lethal damage. And we can't win them all. Especially against a cheap ninja deck that gets Hideaway draw card advantage. And I don't draw a single one of my 4 board wipes. We try again. Yeah, if you start to go up against mono red aggro or something, you will need the Path of Peril handy at some point. We've got a Restless Fortress already, so we're looking for a Field of Ruin. And the War Leeches are just going to come down to 0/0s right away, so we can't use those. And we have to be careful if we have something that we... Oh, hello. Artifact decks are tough on us as well. Uh-oh. Nobody uses Meticulous Excavation except me. Or, sorry, Meticulous Excavation. There's a way you can do infinite discard spells and infinite removal with this as soon as you get enough energy. And so see, they're going to get 2 life and get land out each time with that. Don't really have a way to get rid of enchantments and artifacts with this particular deck. So they're going to do good card draw in terms of finding their land each time, right? And they gain 2 life, which means I basically got to be able to hit them with 2 points every single turn. They've already got 2 Restless Fortresses out. Just to keep them at 22, I'll have to attack them every turn with a creature. Okay, bring down your bricks again, right? No. Spring-loaded to get rid of my creature. Okay. Alright, so this will give me an 8/8 with the War Leech. Titan Blade, really cheap removal. Very good for them. They are vicious. I can't really do anything about any of these. It is a problem. Let's try War Leech again. See exactly how much removal they have. You know they got tons of land. And they're just going to bring down and make me sacrifice a creature each time. So I think it's pretty hopeless for me. they can do that every time. I can do this. But they can bring back their battle, right? Give them a choice of things. No, with invasion, they can exile an artifact as well, and they can make me sacrifice any creature every single turn with this. And I don't have a way to get rid of the enchantment itself. Let's see. We could... do that and do one massive point of damage. See, they've just got a field of control. It's like, unless you have a way to remove something here, mostly the reservation, they've got full control over us for everything. And I tended to use one of the Eldraine enchantment sagas to do it, but you can definitely use Tithing Blade. It's very cheap. And the only thing that I would be able to do is do something with, like, Realmbreaker. But then they could just... yeah, there's just nothing I can do. The only thing that would be left is if I could power up my Restless Land and hit them with a creature and hope they didn't have an instant removal. And it wasn't showing up. So yeah, I've been sparing in my development of the Meticulous Excavation decks. I've done a couple of them. I did the first one just to show off the Enchantment Saga so that you could do infinite removal, and then I threw in a discard deck at a comment from one of the subscribers for the next deck. And then I took a hiatus on it just because I didn't want to depress people too much. It's a very effective combo. And that's a one-mana spell, so it's kind of hard to... I mean, I could put some counter spells in here, but it is kind of tough even to predict when you're going to need to do a counter spell on a one-mana spell. It's very tough to handle. The 1/1 comes out now, and we just need one more land to keep things going. It's a first strike. And they can pump it up when they get energy. Disgusting. If I get a War Leech, I'll just put this right in the way anyway. And I missed a land drop, so we do as I mentioned before. We play the second Ottawa, we keep the second Ottawa. That gives us 3 energy for this particular turn, and then we can power up the Realmbreaker next turn if they don't use a Braid on it. We're up against wolves. They have the Abrade handy. Okay, Arena. Are you at least going to give me a land? Do they have a combat damage spell? I'm willing to sacrifice the one creature already. Missed a land drop. Can't do anything worth anything. Thank you, Arena. I even had a trick when you do land starve me that I can get land from the opponent, and they just magically had a Braid handy already. I don't think this deck had a Braid. I think there's a team of spies at Wizards that watch my gameplay. And when the deck starts to do too well, they start to interfere. Okay, I'm going to need the black mana source to do Path of Peril. And that's already beyond Path of Peril. So we're working at a deficit against a relatively cheap deck, but that will still have some more powerful cards coming up. And they have that as a mana sink. Will really do so much damage right away. I can't even wait just to get rid of the extra 3 points of damage a turn. I have to use a whole board wipe. Because if they got one more land, they could have done 9 points of damage this turn. Yep, they would have had it too. So it was worthwhile. Okay, oh, actually, you'll be a 6/6. If they have a combat spell, I'm still pretty dead. If it's just a fight spell, they might be willing to do it. If it's one where it deals combat damage, I'm in trouble. 7 lands, so probably anything that's in the deck now they can afford to cast. And you notice right when they got enough mana, they had a big spell ready. Another one of you. Yeah, I'm going to surprise you. We're going to keep our blocker. We're going to take 6. Go to the bottom of the deck. What do you have in your hand that's an instant that you can affect the board with? Okay, 8 lands to 4. That's certainly fair. They could easily have another Abrade. Well, I do need the land. Do I take the Cemetery Tampering? I guess. I guess. Because that'll give me 6 land at least, and that'll give me the white to do a full board wipe if I need to later. So if they have Avabruck Caretaker, we'll still have a chance to survive. Yeah, we double block. And 3 damage. There's the other Abrade. Okay, we have the Rona's Vortex. We can use it as an instant. We could also use Path of Peril. If I do this now, I can't use... I could use Rona's Vortex, but only as a 1-drop. We're gonna risk it. As long as they don't have another haste creature right this second. Oh, we put that at the bottom of their deck. We can still see it there, right? Yeah. Oh, that's not... That's just trample. That wasn't haste. Okay. So we're good. They got land. We will start the milling. And 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's gone on long enough. We'll just full cast the Flesh Gorger. And now we can afford to attack unless they have another Abrade. They can afford to take 7 points of damage. It would be worth it now to use the Abrade on it. And if they've got a trick to take out the Flesh Gorger by blocking, we've got other things we can do. Ooh, that's kind of nice. Alright, let's attack first. They could have a 4 damage direct to my face spell for all I know in this deck. They have to double block, right? Because it's got Menace. Are they still going to want to do that? Draw the card, see what you get. Huh. I would not have expected that. Why would they give up both of their creatures? See, if they'd kept them, they could have at least gotten some life value from something else. What are we up to? 16? We're getting close. Let's go ahead and we'll do this. We'll continue. We'll kick this to do the additional milling. Auto pay. Even though we weren't going to get an increase in power, but what this does is we've already got 20, so we can automatically cast the prototype for the full 6 for free off of Cemetery Tampering. We don't even need to mill anymore. We finally caught up. We started drawing lands, so 8 to 10. The enemy is starting to behave weirdly. Oh, never mind. Back up into your hand. Overwhelming force, and they didn't have enough in their hand for resources to deal with it by that point. It's good to be me. And a new card. Sweet, splashy spellcaster. I haven't used that card yet. This is the problem with the release schedule is they release a new set every quarter. I'm still busy trying to get the old decks. I'm constantly playing catch up. There's all these new cards I haven't been able to make a deck out of yet. Alright, that is enough to let you see how the deck works. I'm reasonably pleased with it. Again, I would have liked... Originally, I'm trying to minimize the removal spells. And I had single... It did -2/-2, and then you could... if you had an instant or sorcery, it would do an extra -1/-1. So if you had 5 instants and sorceries in your graveyard, it would become a -7/-7 spell. So it would cast, it's scaled, so you could get bigger creatures as the game went on longer. And it was just not enough to keep up with everything. So yeah, 4 board wipes instead. And splashing this much white, 4 Rafine's Towers and the Celestis tends to be good enough for Path of Peril usually. I like the way this works, the Hideaway cards with the prototypes. I may go through the rest of the color pie with the other Hideaways at a certain point too, just to test those out in the other colors with the prototypes. And maybe we'll use some of the other colors from the other prototypes as well that I don't normally use. I tend to start with black or white and tend to dip into blue quite a bit. And I haven't done as much with red or green prototype through all the various decks that I've done. I'm reasonably happy with the Rona's Vortex. That's a nice go-to card whenever I'm playing black and blue. And I only have 1 copy of the End right now, but the End is great too because If your life total gets down to 5 or less, it only costs 2 black mana to cast. It doesn't cost 4. So I like those cards because of the kind of deck construction that I tend to do. I'm not geared towards making the mono red aggro because I think making too many of those gets boring. So I tend to look for other ways to make decks, and that makes them take longer to pop off. And that means my life total is probably going to get lower at the beginning. And so I tend to gravitate towards these cards that cost less the more that my life goes down, just because I tend to find myself in that situation quite a bit. But that's the deck. Let me know what you think of it. Let me know if this is news to you that the prototype version gets digitally eliminated once it goes under the Hideaway card. That was a discovery for me this time. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention in previous matches when I used similar cards, but I discovered that this time. And let me know what you might do different, that kind of thing. Remember, leave the likes and subscribes, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.